An object is a result of looking at something which in itself has no quality or charm. I pick something which in itself has no meaning at all. I disregard completely the aesthetic quality of the object.
Lately, I've been thinking less about why the world is a certain way, and I don't know. I remember since I was old enough to have any sort of idea that I was alive and that there was things going on around me, I was constantly questioning and asking my mother to give me answers as to why this was happening, and she would never tell me. She would never give me an answer. Most of the time she would just remain completely silent, and it would just frustrate me, so I would have to make up my own conclusions as to why anything was a certain way, or why something was happening, or why the fuck I was on this goddamn planet, and what the purpose was. And now I've kind of figured it out, although I can't really yet concretely state it. It seems a lot more clear in my mind, and I've stopped questioning why, because everything just is a certain way, and all I know is how to just maintain myself from looking too much into why. I know that sounds so fucking existentialist, but anyways, so I don't know, I guess everybody kind of is bombarded with this idea from the day that they're born, and a lot of people choose to ignore it because, you know, there's a lot of different people who can tell you why things are a certain way and what to do, and it's a lot easier to follow those directions, or seemingly it'll give you a lot quicker results to follow those directions, and then just maybe have some sort of crisis down the road when you realize you're not happy with the direction that they pushed you into, and that's when it all comes falling down. But anyways, I guess now I'm really not anymore content with the state that I'm in, because now that I've kind of figured out why, I just want to help everybody else figure out their own reasons, if I can, or maybe even help them ask themselves those questions. And that's even more difficult than trying to figure it out for myself, because I don't know them. I just know them as deep as I think I can, and who knows what that is. You can never really put your finger on why you feel like you know somebody or why you don't. You just either do, or you just either do kind of have some sort of intertwining ideas with them that you can't really understand, or you don't. But I kind of feel that there's a little bit of everyone that I get, and there's only so much time for me to delegate to help people get why I get them, if they want to hear it. So I guess it's a matter of choosing the right people who you get, and I don't know, I guess the people that you think you can help the most, and who even knows how you're going to help them. Do people really ever help each other before they help themselves? No. But you can help people help themselves, or help people see that they might need to help themselves. So now my life has changed into some selfish mission, into some, I don't know, fucking, I don't know. And you know, if it were up to me to follow my instincts, I wouldn't have to live inside a certain standard of living, and I can't follow my instincts all the time, because my instincts would lead me probably somewhere that wouldn't necessarily take care of certain obligations I have. Paying rent and feeding myself and putting a ticket into the bus thing when I get on, and not smoking in certain areas, because we have these rules that have been set up that may go against our instincts, so it's just finding this medium to work within them. And it's just fucking chaos, because I don't know half the rules that have been set up. The other day, I don't even think I know a third of them or an eighth of them, and I forget them as I'm going along, and I'm pretty sure most people don't. Like, who walks around with a fucking goddamn book of law that tells you what you're not and not supposed to do? And, you know, my instincts apparently tell me that things that I feel I should do are legally not right. And somehow my instincts telling me that they're okay so far have made it possible for my own system to work within a system that disagrees with it, just because I believe that it's right. So maybe it's just that faith in your own reality that you need to create in order to make everything work with you, in spite of whatever was written in a book years ago saying that thing. Alright, here's where it gets good. Do you hear that? There's like there's like a huge drug circle going on the second floor. My landlord tells me about it all the time. He like doesn't even give a shit about freaking me out, I guess. He's just like, yeah, they have this drug ring. One time I went downstairs and there's this girl crying outside the door, and like the guy will look at me and then the girl will get mad at the guy for looking at me, and it's just like, I just pretend they don't exist. Here we go. I found the fucking answer, said so much more beautifully than I was able to say in my jumbled mess of eyes and me and this and purpose and fuck. When you don't know what you want, you have to attach yourself to someone who does. Yes, but isn't the person who knows what he wants already suspect? When you aren't sure of your own tasting judgment, you have to attach yourself to someone whose taste is sure. Yes, but how are you to choose that person in those conditions? When you aren't good at forming relationships, you have to attach yourself to someone who is. Yes, but how are you to find the person? How are you to make contact if you're not gifted in that way? When you don't know how to love, you have to attach yourself to someone who loves you. Yes, but precisely how are you to make that attachment? With so much torpor, it isn't even clear that you can push yourself to join in the show. With so much reality, it isn't even clear that you can work the idea to the bone. With so much communication, it isn't even clear that you can want to speak or write. With so much communication, it isn't even clear that you can want to speak or write. When you think of the incredible neurotic complexity of the millions of scattered individuals and the exponential sum of all these problems, you are aware that the psychical pollution of the planet is far greater than the biological or technological pollution, and this certainly was not the case for Tavel or Cro-Magnon. The short, fierce nature of life provided an automatic regulation. Today we have exchanged psychical cannibalism, and we have moved into the stage of virtual cruelty. Deafness is a lesser affliction than not being able to see, because seeing is a constant marvel, and there is a sort of perfection of the visible. Vision enchants what it touches. Even ugliness becomes miraculous by the simple fact of sight, the eye, color, and the pure joy of appearances. Hearing is more visceral and dramatic, and hence closer to fear, closer to language, and closer to meaning, and also closer to stupidity. For the absurdity of language is more laden with meaning than that of spectacle and sight. This is why I would be more prepared to accept being cut off from the world of deafness, which spares us from its absurdity, than to be deprived of the sight of the world, even if the scene presented were an obscenity. Hearing has more to do with the sexual, and deafness with sexual impotence, whereas sight and gaze have to do with seduction. To live without seeing is to live without being seen, even if this does not prevent blind women from putting on makeup, and indeed doing so in front of a mirror. It is to live without seduction. A world without watching eyes is like a sleepless night, people with inner nightmares.
A lot of people who lose their limbs and sometimes can still feel the limb being a part of them, even though it's physically been removed. I think it kind of goes the same for when you meet someone and they seem oddly familiar, but you have never really met them before. This morning, I felt like I had started a new life because I didn't know where I was, and not knowing where you are kind of means that you don't know where you're going. want to know about serendipity? That great, wonderful movie where that girl gives that guy a letter and God, I love it. Here we go. Serendipity is like a spectral term which denotes finding something that you're not looking for, like coming upon it unexpectedly. And Christopher Columbus gave this name to his caravel, but in fact, the discovery of America was not really an event. The whites, well, you know, the people with fair skin, no, whitey, merely fulfilled the Indian whatever. Christopher Columbus and his posse, Christopher Columbus and his whole crew, they were fulfilling this Indian prophecy which predicted the destruction of the race by beings from elsewhere.
I was just saying, in Ekankar, everything is relevant to everything else. So in your life, we learn that life here in this physical body is a school, and we're here to learn. And eventually we get back to God, but it takes many, many iterations often of a lifetime. And every time we come back and learn some more. And so we find that just about everything in our lives is trying to teach us something, because God is always there for us, always communicating with us. It's up to us to realize that and tune in, right? And so once we are able to do that, once we learn to do that, then we start to see the relevance of all these little things that happen in our daily lives that mean so much to us that, most of us just let pass by and never think about it. Mostly because they're not tuned in. And I guess when people come to Ekankar, they've already decided, I think most of them have already made decisions that life has more meaning to it than they've been told or that they've seen up to now. And what they want is a way to get that meaning from their lives. And so in Ekankar, we learn what are called spiritual exercises to help us tune in to the light and sound of God. And you'll find that Ekankar is referred to as the religion of the light and sound of God, because those are the two ways that God is manifested in this world that we know. And so one of the really easy ways that everybody learns right off the bat to tune in to this light and sound of God is just sit down, be comfortable, close your eyes, and sing a word called Hu, H-U. It's an ancient name for God, and you just sit down, close your eyes, and sing Hu for maybe as long as you feel comfortable. And if you do that every day, then you begin to tune in to the more subtle things in life that you've never noticed before, maybe, or that you may have noticed but didn't understand the meaning of.
When you said you walk you walk through the city and you notice things. Now you like to travel and you have a perspective. You see things that other people don't see, and that's a wider sense of awareness. And why is it that other people don't see it? That's where they're at. That's their level of awareness at the time. And no two people are exactly the same spot at the same time. We are close, and yourself, you're not even at the same spot day to day, year to year. So we're constantly evolving. Ekankar's got a couple of advantages. We've got a really good teacher, a really good guide. This fella here, Harold Clem, he's been there before, and he's willing to teach. So he teaches us through the books. He has talks around the world that we can go to and listen, and then you can actually communicate with this master on the inside, and learn things. You can learn things in your dreams, which is pretty cool. Very cool. A lot of the times we have dreams that are so meaningful if you know how to interpret them. So in Eckankar you learn how to interpret them, document them, like write them down as they've just happened. And so there's quite a few ways of increasing your awareness.
He's called the Mahanta, the living Ek Master. And what that means is, in this physical world, he's the leader of the religious organization called Eckankar. And he writes a lot. He's a prolific author. Many of the books that are in this bookshelf are authored by Harold Klemp, or they are transcripts of talks that he's given. And he also writes what are called discourses for students of Eckankar that you receive every month. And so that's what he does in the physical realm. He puts this stuff out for us to be able to read and learn. And as Jeff said, he also gives talks himself. And then as an inner master, as the Mahanta, that's as the living Ek Master. So as the Mahanta, he's also what we call the inner master, which means that we can also have access to him, or he has access to us on the inner planes, okay? And so and that's where the real teaching happens. I mean, we have these books and these writings that are sort of like jumping off points, perhaps, for us. But it's the real learning about our spirituality and who we are as soul and our connection to God, that all really happens on the inner. It happens during our dreams, for example, or as we were just talking about, all these little things that pop up in your life that you either may not have given any meaning to, or you wondered what the meaning was. This is part of our inner experience that we're being given, and we're being shown this all the time.
The waking dream.
The waking dream, yeah. For example, you're cross at somebody, and you're just about to, say you're sitting there where Jeff is, you're just about to get up and say something nasty to somebody, and you bang your shin against the table, and it's like, oh, and so that's maybe that's what we call the Ek or Holy Spirit telling you, wait a minute, think about what you're going to say, Or have you ever had something, you've been going to do something, maybe you're going to send a nasty email, and your computer picks this time to crash. Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to do that?
Cool.
So there's all kinds of ways that Holy Spirit or the Ek is there every day to help us out all day, every day, 24 hours a day.
Now everybody goes to Central Park. beautiful. You can rowboat, a canoe. You can do everything in Central Park, and it's safe. Safe during daylight hours.
Yo. Oh, Emily, now. Oh, Emily, now. Not that much to say in the first place, cause it's the same in the first place. Come over here. What others left? You can steer while I push the gas and the brake. Oh yeah, it's coming. Real net hard to fake. Oh yeah, feel the drumming. Real net hard to fake. Oh yeah, what we got here is a prime example of how to rip it in second gear. Yeah,
How to rip it in second gear.
a debate ride. GBZ, front for Dutch motifs.
Banana farm.
No fear. GBZ, front for Dutch motifs. GBZ, Dutch motifs combine easily.
Shoulder plaid and his bagpipers, feather bonnet, a good 18 inches tall. As the carloads of guests started to arrive, Pat O'Dell was in the barnyard, showing them where to park and steering them to the bird garden. Burgess Campbell and Alexander was at the house.
you can't lie to the other half of your soul. And I still laugh when I say that because I can't believe that's fucking fairy tale exists. It's because they know we can't lie to them. And you can't lie to yourself anymore either. And it's so easy to go through your life lying to yourself and just telling yourself things that go against that feeling that you get when you think something's wrong, but you can rationalize yourself out of it. Saying that, no, it's whatever, I'm just being crazy, I'm overanalyzing, or you're probably not overanalyzing, you're probably thinking very lightly about something. But, it's the other part of you. And everybody knows deep down inside what they're doing is something that's right or wrong. I don't know what age you develop that sense.
I used to be afraid of laser tag.
But I'm pretty sure it starts out fairly young, and it could even start out younger than you'd think. Younger than it could start out like younger than you think is the age that you're old enough to start. Excuse me, I'm just going for a walk. Like, it could start out even younger than the age that you think is the age that you even start understanding certain things about the world. It could start out when you're, like, even old enough to, like, start speaking your first word. And it could start out when you're, sorry, I just got completely and entirely distracted for a second. And you know, there's instinct and then there's irrationality and there's all sorts of things to throw in with everything. And it's really hard sometimes, especially when you don't get enough sleep, and especially when you're under the influence of drugs, and especially when you're under the influence of being in the kind of love with somebody that doesn't necessarily have the best intentions. It doesn't have the best intentions. It's polluted with insecurity and jealousy and thoughts of the past and what has happened before and fear of that happening again. And possessiveness. It's necessarily a bad thing when it comes down to something that is yours. And when I say it is yours, I mean it's the other half of you. So that other half is just as much you as it is yourself. Or or sorry, I worded that wrong. The other half is just a smug shoe. Maybe that made sense. I don't know. It didn't sound quite right, but that's the only thing that we. It's the only thing that we possess is we don't possess our bodies. We don't possess our clothes, obviously. The only thing that we really do possess is whatever it is that's inside of us that makes us a human. It makes us fucking, makes our organs work and makes our makes our organs work. I'm pretty sure just fucking, that's just science. But no, it is. It makes our organs work. I don't know this shit, but I'm gonna say it anyways. It makes our organs work, and it ties our hearts in with our heads, and it ties it all together, and it ties everything that's inside with ourselves into little tiny strings, all coming out of our bodies into the entire fucking world, okay? And then there's one gigantic one. There's one, a very huge one, bigger than a fucking rope, that ties into another person on this world. And imagine it just being the fucking, as they say in the stupidest movies, is the other half. Imagine that tie is... Imagine one side of you is just this irregular, just not... It's just all these irregular bumps and stuff, and it just makes absolutely no sense. And the other half is fairly smooth. I mean, we can create bumps on it or whatever, but it's fairly smooth. So the fairly smooth half has all these little tiny lines going out of it, and it all connects them with the rest of it, their environment and everything. It all connects with everything external. And then there's that other part of the body that's just got this completely irregular shape, and it's got all these little tiny strings not going out and they're not going out into a variety of directions. They're going all towards one thing.
Say you cannot cope with the trials of every
So it's all going towards one thing. Once you connect with that, or once you connect with that one thing, you're like a whole symmetrical object. And all those little lines coming out of the other side seem to be a lot easier to work with, because you've got this whole solid base to work from. You know, you've got all the answers inside of this fully complete. And it's going to be hard to find the answers in the other side that you haven't been living with your whole life, and vice versa, because especially when you first like you join in with it and you realize that this is everything you're missing. But how do you know where all those? How do you know How do you know what part of them? What part of it? That other half. What part of it has the answer you're looking for when you can't figure something out? And it'll show itself to you in time, and you can't expect it to just give you the answers when you need them. Right when you think you need them, at least. I'm putting my faith in the good of the other half and hoping that it will give you the answer when you need them. And who even knows when you need anything besides food and water. A certain amount of time, I guess you can't go without eating. But what if like the other side of it doesn't have your best intentions in mind?
I didn't know what was about my grandmother at the time. I was on my way to Toronto around Christmas time to a big Christmas, a music industry Christmas party, fun, free drinks, food, beautiful people everywhere, kind of awesome party. And driving my way into TO, and when I hit about Burlington Oakville, I just got so sad and I started crying. And I'm not the kind of person that I don't just wake up in the morning and say, I don't do that too much, you know. I've been brought to tears for varieties of reasons over the years. I don't have an aversion to crying, but it's not something I would wake up in the morning on my way driving into Toronto and start, But anyways, I did. I started crying my eyes out. I felt so sad, and I turned the car around. My girlfriend at the time was totally pissed off at me because I was like, was crying my face off. I turned around, I went home, and I went to bed, and I cried myself to sleep like a baby. It's, now, for some people that might be not a normal thing, but that might be part of what some people might do. I'm totally down with that, but it's not my vibe usually. But I fall asleep. The next morning I hear my front door. My stepfather shows up at the door. He says, "Glenn, your grandmother died last night." And I was so heartbroken. I just loved the woman. And we were super close. And I guess I didn't know consciously, but I must have known. And all night long, she visited me in my dreams. And so ever since then, and she wasn't sick. She was old, and she was living in kind of a like a care facility, but she was not unhealthy, and she just couldn't get around. She was in a wheelchair, and my grandpa was gone, and that's where she lived. And so there was people weren't sitting around waiting for her to die. She was healthy, and so I guess I had I think she visited me, and I think when she died, and it turns out around the time I was like turning around, weeping, and crying, and going home, that's when she died. So I don't know what that was about. There was no. So since then, ghosts and like before that, like I think I would have been a bit of an agnostic kind of person, but since that happened, I'm just a little more open to ghosts and the spirit world and that kind of shit. And I don't know. There's not much more to the story except that, I sort of feel like she visited me, and then the next, I kind of got ding ding, and the bell rung a little bit. Since then, it's totally made me a totally less pretentious, less all-knowing, all-seeing, pretentious, sentient being.
To be born in the street means to wander all your life, to be free. It means accident and incident, drama, movement. It means above all dreams. A harmony of irrelevant facts which give your wandering a metaphysical certitude. In the street, you learn what human beings really are. Otherwise, or afterwards, you invent them. One passes from one scene, one age, one life to another, and suddenly walking down a street, be it real or a dream, one realizes, for the first time, the years have flown, that all this has passed and will live on only in memory. And then the memory turns inwards with a strange brilliance. One goes over these scenes and incidents perpetually, in dream and in reverie. Suddenly, these memories intrude, rise up like ghosts, and permeate every fiber of one's being. The great fragmentation of maturity, the great change. In youth, we were whole. The terror and the pain of the world penetrated us. And then comes a time when it's suddenly reversed, We live in the mind, in ideas, in fragments, and we remember only. We relive the drama of youth, and the plasm of a dream is in the pain of separation. The dream lives on after the body is buried. We walk the streets, picking up the slightest clue of memories of the past.
Don't ask me to move a mountain. Don't ask me to swim the sea. Don't think that I'm a towering stream. Don't lean too much on me. When looking to the future, oh, don't build your dreams too high. I beg you to remember, I'm just an ordinary guy. I ain't no miracle worker. I do the best that I can. I ain't no miracle worker. Oh Lord, I ain't no miracle man. And I don't have a fortune. You know I sweat for each dime I make. But I'm always in there just looking to get that lucky break. Every day I keep on trying to do my best for you. And if trying just ain't enough, babe, well, tell me, what would you have me do? I ain't no miracle worker. I do the best that I can. I ain't no miracle worker. Oh Lord, I ain't no miracle man. To be tender, ask me to be true. Ask me for all the love I have, and girl, I'll give it all to you. But girl, I just can't offer no storybook romance. Oh, that's what you're looking for, babe. I tell you, we just don't have a chance.